Most people think making more money will fix their life. The idea sounds simple. Earn a higher salary, and everything becomes easier. More comfort, more savings, more progress. But if that were actually true, people making over $100,000 a year wouldn't feel stuck, and yet many of them do. That's where things start to get confusing, because the problem isn't income itself, it's what happens after income increases. Meet Jake. Jake starts his career earning $50,000 a year, and for the first time in his life, he feels independent. He has his own money, his own choices, and the freedom to build a life the way he wants. Naturally, he upgrades a few things. He gets a better phone, moves into a slightly nicer apartment, starts going out more on weekends. Nothing extreme, just small improvements that make life feel more enjoyable. At this stage, everything feels like progress. Every purchase feels earned. Every upgrade feels justified. And in his mind, this is just the beginning of something bigger. A couple of years later, Jake gets his first major raise, and now he's earning around $70,000 a year. The excitement comes back again, because more income means more options. He moves into a better place, upgrades his furniture, starts choosing convenience more often. He orders food instead of cooking, uses rides instead of public transport, spends a little more without thinking too much. Each decision feels small, but together they slowly reshape his lifestyle. At first, he notices the difference and enjoys it, but after a few months, it all becomes normal. What once felt like an upgrade now feels like a standard. As more time passes, Jake's income increases again, and now he's making around $90,000. From the outside, his life looks stable and successful. He has a good apartment, a decent car, and a comfortable routine. People around him think he's doing well, and even he believes that for a while. But internally, something doesn't feel right. At the end of every month, his bank account doesn't show real progress. Money comes in, but it disappears just as fast. There's no real growth, no real sense of security, just a repeating cycle that never seems to change. At first, Jake ignores it, thinking it's temporary. But as months go by, the pattern becomes obvious. Every month ends the same way. Income arrives, expenses take over, and whatever is left is barely anything. That's when a simple question starts bothering him more than anything else. Where is all my money going? He starts checking everything: rent, food, subscriptions, transport, small daily spending. Nothing looks extreme, nothing feels like a mistake, and that's what makes it worse. Because there's no single problem to fix, it's just a collection of normal decisions that quietly add up over time. Eventually, Jake crosses $110,000 a year. This was once his target, the number he believed would change everything. But instead of feeling ahead, he feels the same, maybe even more pressure than before. Because now expectations are higher. The people around him earn more, spend more, and live at a higher standard. Without realizing it, he starts comparing himself to them. He notices their apartments, their cars, their lifestyle, and suddenly what he has doesn't feel enough. So he upgrades again. Slightly higher rent, slightly better lifestyle, slightly more comfort. And once again, his expenses adjust to match his income. Now, something deeper changes. The more he earns, the more he feels like he needs to maintain a certain image, a certain level of success. And maintaining that level costs money, consistently, month after month. At this point, Jake is no longer chasing comfort, he's maintaining it. And maintaining it is expensive. This is where stress begins, not because he earns too little, but because everything depends on that income staying exactly where it is. Then something unexpected happens. One month, his company goes through restructuring. Budgets get cut, teams get reduced, and although Jake doesn't lose his job completely, his bonus disappears. His monthly income drops slightly, not dramatically, but enough to make a difference. At the same time, a random expense hits, a car repair that costs a few $1,000s. Nothing extreme, but now everything feels tight. For the first time, Jake experiences real financial pressure. His lifestyle hasn't changed, but his income has, and now there's no buffer, no safety, no space. That's when it hits him. He's not broke, but he's fragile. Everything works only as long as nothing goes wrong, and that realization forces him to think differently. He stops asking where his money is going and starts asking why it always feels like there's nothing left. The answer slowly becomes clear. His income increased over time, but his lifestyle increased with it. And because of that, the most important thing never grew: the gap between what he earns and what he keeps. Jake decides to change something, not his income, but his structure. The next time money comes in, he doesn't upgrade anything. He keeps his current lifestyle. At first, it feels uncomfortable, almost unnatural, because everything around him suggests he should spend more, that he deserves it. But this time, he holds back. Month after month, something new starts happening. For the first time, money doesn't just come and go. Some of it stays. At first, it's small, just a few $100s, but then it starts increasing. Slowly, his bank account begins to grow. Not dramatically, but consistently. Jake starts setting that money aside regularly. No complicated strategy, just discipline. And over time, something important happens. That money doesn't just sit, it grows. At first, the growth is slow and barely noticeable, but after a few years, it starts to build momentum. Now the numbers begin to look different. If someone earns $100,000 but only saves $5,000 a year, after 10 years, they end up with around $50,000 plus some growth. It's decent, but it doesn't create real freedom. But if someone consistently keeps $15,000 to $20,000 aside every year, that amount compounds. Over time, it grows into hundreds of thousands, and eventually even more. At some point, the growth from that money becomes larger than what they contribute each year, and that's when everything changes. Jake begins to notice this shift. At first, progress is slow, then it becomes visible, and eventually it becomes powerful. And all of it came from one simple change: protecting the gap. He also realizes something most people never fully understand. The real problem was never income, it was expectation. Because as income increased, expectations increased faster. And those expectations forced him to spend more, maintain more, and keep up more. Once he breaks that cycle, everything changes. He stops trying to look successful and starts building actual success. Quietly, consistently, without pressure. And over time, that quiet consistency turns into real results. Here's the truth most people realize too late. Your salary can make your life comfortable, but it will never make you rich on its own. Because wealth isn't built from how much you earn, it's built from how much you keep and how long you let it grow. So if it feels like you're earning more but not getting ahead, the problem isn't your income, it's the missing gap. And once you understand that, everything changes. If this made you rethink how money actually works, take a moment to like the video. Comment GAP if you understand it now. And subscribe, because once you understand this, you stop chasing income and start building real wealth.